Well, it's fantastic to meet so many of you last week. Well done for coming along to the little optional workshops, and they were optional. If you're comfortable with the instruction that you've received so far in the unit, then everything's fine. Just keep moving along. The primary task in front of you at the moment is preparing for the pre-test. As I outlined in the workshops last week, the pre-test is less of a test of your knowledge and more of a test of your willingness to prepare for the workshop, the first workshop. And the reason we do that is because it's a workshop. You're not coming along on that Saturday to listen to me give you lecture after lecture after lecture. You're coming along to engage in a range of pre-planned activities that enable you to develop this capacity for using the framework's elements to increase your actual understanding of how those elements all come together, and they all work and they all integrate. So I've done a lot of the work for you in putting that framework together, but the challenge for you is to become proficient at being able to use it. And in doing that, you'll create opportunities for you to reflect on, which is 40% of the unit, and you'll create opportunities for you to be able to step back and to think about the nature of those theoretical concepts, their application to your direction in the unit, and your ability to understand how those things actually combine and are integrated to provide you with a sense-making framework. So that's the most important thing. Between now and next Thursday, when you'll have the pre-test, just take the time to work through the video, work through the book chapter, and allow yourself to develop a simple one-sentence definition in your own mind of what each of those 20 concepts is. Okay? When you do the pre-test, you're just going to get a multiple choice question. There are going to be 3 answers, and your answer that you've developed in terms of your own little mini definition for each one, you'll find it there. It won't be too difficult. Alright? I'm not trying to trick anyone with this. Many of you will get full marks or close to full marks on that test. And that's the trade-off of allowing you to get those grades, is ensuring that you turn up and you're prepared and you're ready to roll. Okay? So that's the most important thing, okay? That you're actually engaging in that process, alright? Now, as we've said before, and as I talk to people in the little workshops we had last week, the unit is set up using quite a different model. The model is one of low cognitive load, not high cognitive load. So in a high cognitive load, we would get a book, something like this, you know, it's a textbook with, 700 pages, and we would work you through a chapter. Every week you'd get another chapter of 25, 30 pages, whatever it may have been. And one block of knowledge would just replace another block, and another block. And this would make it pretty hard for you to really get up and use that knowledge and really run forward and use it in a way that would go beyond your short-term memory, that could get committed into that working memory, so that in a year's time or 2 years' time or 5 years' time, you've still got this knowledge to draw on and use. Okay? In this unit, the design is low cognitive load, giving you some information around the pre-test, and sure, giving you a lot more access to deeper resources around those theories and components post the pre-test, so that you can help you with your other assignment work. But we want you to be able to take a framework and to use it multiple times in different ways throughout the semester. I want you to get to the end of the semester and have already bedded in those concepts. Alright? So keep that in mind. Alright? The design of the pre-test, the use of the framework, and what we expect to be able to create for you is a different knowledge outcome that's based on learning science. High cognitive load versus low cognitive load. You can go to Google and you can search that up, and you can see what the scholars say about how it actually is that you would typically learn. Alright? How do students typically learn under the context of a high cognitive load versus a low cognitive load. Alright? And that's the philosophy that's at the heart of this unit. That's why it seems different. Okay? So let's move on to, so that was the essence of really what I wanted to cover for you in the second little online tutorial. The third online tutorial is really about making sure that if you haven't been along to the optional workshops last week, and that's fine, it's no major problem, that you're comfortable with this notion of an open mind. How are you feeling at the moment, right? Do you feel like something's missing? Are you feeling unsure about things? Are you feeling a bit of anxiety? Are you feeling disconnect, right? Like you're not in control because everything else has been laid out for you in your other units and you sort of know where the schedule of things are. Well, you do in this unit too, right? But it's just different, right? Which makes it seem a bit strange, right? But you know you've got a workshop in week 4 and week 8 and week 12, right? So you actually know what's happening, but it's just there's these gaps in between. But you've got something to do in each of the gaps, right? During the first gap, weeks 1 to 4, you've got a pre-test to prepare for, okay? In between weeks 4 and 8, you've got a little process to go off and complete with a group. It's not an assessed group activity. The outcomes of how you make sense of it and you write it up in your interim learning report will be assessed. And then you've got another task to do between weeks 8 and 12. Again, not assessed as a group activity, but your outcomes of your reflection and how you see that theory base being used in that context will be assessed. Okay? So, the key question here is, can you keep an open mind? That's the challenge, right? If you want to compare everything we're doing to the other units where you get a textbook or you get a large resource like this and you methodically work your way through each one of them, then you're creating a problem for yourself in that maybe there's something about that you like because you're in control, right? And maybe over here you're sensing a lack of control, all right? Keep an open mind. Start asking yourself, on your phone, on a piece of paper, in a journal, start writing down a few things. You're going to love to be able to come back to these things as the semester goes on. But why? If this is like, oh, this is cool, I'm really enjoying the way this unit is set up, why is it that you'd be thinking that? And if it's the opposite, the total opposite, I already feel really uncomfortable with what's happening here. Why can't you just tell us what's happening? Why can't you? Well, then why? Why would you be in that space? All right? What makes you feel that way? All right? So don't project it out at me and say it's because something you're doing is wrong. Why is it that you would be feeling that way? All right? Because we haven't actually started the full experience yet, have we? All right? I'm just asking you to keep an open mind, prepare for the pre-test, bring yourself along on the first Saturday, and let things move forward from there. All right? All of these mini reflections that you can have now and that you can make little notes on, they're going to be things that you can return to and question and try to analyze as you're going forward. The little videos I'm giving you, the food for thought, they're not just random videos. They're designed to tag into the types of commentaries and ideas that we want to explore in the first week, in the first workshop. Okay? So I'm giving them to you, and you'll get another few between now and the first workshop. And I'm wanting you to use those videos simply to be able to step back and think to yourself, yeah, what is my position on that? That's an interesting question that maybe I've never really asked myself. So, don't panic, keep an open mind, and allow yourself the opportunity to make a few notes along the way. All right? You're entitled to feel confused. You're entitled to feel relieved. You're entitled to feel a lack of control. You're entitled to feel like you are in control. There's no right way you should be feeling. There's just how you feel. The challenge is, can you recognize the nature of that feeling? And then can you start to make some notes on it? Start that process of reflection in a very informal way, all right? But in a way that will allow you to think, that's interesting, gee, in the beginning of week 3, I noted that I was feeling this way. And now that we're in week 8 or we're in week 12, I'm now feeling... Now, if there's a change in where you were in week 3 now to where you get to in week 12, you've got some really interesting things to reflect on. If there's no change, you're still feeling this way and you're essentially largely feeling that way, well, what does that tell you about yourself? Okay? Whichever way you go, you're going to have something to compare and contrast. Okay? So, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Alright? The main thing is that you understand that we're not doing this. I'm not giving you high cognitive load approach. We're having a low cognitive load approach, which is why in the first instance there's just this little ball of theoretical concepts that we're dealing with, rather than working you through chapter after chapter after chapter. Because we're going to do something different with the knowledge. I'm going to give you an opportunity, hopefully, to learn about theory, practice, and yourself in a different way. I can't wait to meet you in a couple of weeks. But until then, hang in there with the pre-test, and I look forward to seeing you soon.